Why should we read books? This question often confounds people who read them. It seems an obvious thing. You read books to learn more about the world, about people, about the limits of human knowledge and cultural development. And as a result, you become richer and more educated. You become a better version of yourself. But is it really so? This question has been bothering me a lot last time. So much that I decided to make two versions of this video at once, both in Russian and in English, so that as many people as possible have the opportunity to ask themselves a question that is more relevant today than ever. Does reading books make us better? First of all, I would like to talk about the phenomenon of enlightenment in its classical sense. The ideas of enlightenment, which originated in England and peaked in France in the 19th century, are about the importance of spreading scientific knowledge and culture. Enlighteners believed in the decisive role of intelligence and science in the knowledge of natural order corresponding to the true nature of man and society. Enlighteners considered ignorance, obscurantism, religious fanatism to be causes of human disasters. They fought against the feudal absolutist regime for political freedoms, civil rights, equality, and so on. Immanuel Kant put it very well on the subject of the definition of enlightenment. Enlightenment is a person's exit from the state of his immaturity, in which he is because of his own fault. Immaturity is the inability to use one's intellect without guidance from someone else. As I see it, each individual and humanity as a whole is surrounded by the so-called dark fog of war, as for example in the Sid Meier's Civilization series of computer games. Using the development of natural science and culture, we are constantly pushing this fog away from ourselves, opening up new lands of new knowledge about the world and about ourselves. I will call it the fog of ignorance for the sake of simplicity of metaphor. In the opinion of the classical enlighteners, the ideas of humanism and enlightenment are closely connected. Therefore, they considered the spread of knowledge about the world to be an absolute good, and up to a certain point, most likely it was so. But here lies one dangerous delusion, which needs to be sorted out. As for this, I started this video. Enlightenment is not the same as spreading humanism. These processes originated and developed in parallel, but they are only partially interconnected. There were enough vivid examples of how enlightened and educated people commit genocide in the 20th century. Enlightenment today is not the same as enlightenment in the 19th century. Previously, its task was to push back the fog of ignorance, but now it is at least to keep it at the same distances. The more complex the world becomes, the more people tend to look for simple answers to complex questions. This is how movements such as Flat Earth Society, homeopathy, anti-vaxxers and other anti-scientific but such easy-to-understand ideas appear. And if earlier, before the internet, someone had a conspiracy or anti-scientific idea, then educated authorities from the environment, literature and scientific journalism quickly stopped this. Now every, even the most insane and dangerous idea, can find support on the net. There is a community for absolutely any interest and worldview. Not so long ago, entry into literature, culture and science was extremely difficult. The selection was merciless. Therefore, in most cases, the printed word was the product of high-level intellectual activity and experience. Now it's enough to walk along the shelves in the bookstore with books on psychology to plunge into the abyss of mediocre and dangerous books from bloggers and journalists. The illusion that education equals humanity is very dangerous. All the top officers of the Third Reich were highly educated and cultured people. This didn't stop them from creating the worst humanitarian catastrophe in history. At the same time, I'm sure that in your life you came across people who knew absolutely nothing about the world beyond their village. Maybe they were superstitious, did not read a single book, but at the same time they were happy, kind and respectful toward others, and they raised their children with the same qualities. One of the thoughts that make people pick up books is I will know more, so I will be a happier person, I will become the best version of myself. But it is not so. Perhaps if you don't know how photosynthesis or the microwave oven works, Or if you have not read Dostoevsky, you're a happier person than someone who has read the Brothers Karamazov or Sapiens. So let's return to the Enlightenment and the ideas of humanism. Previously, humanity dispelled the fog of ignorance, but now we are trying our best to keep it at least at the same distance. And education and modern enlighteners are working in this direction. It's important to understand that such a fog envelops not only humanity as a whole, but also each person in particular. Every person who doesn't want to wallow in ignorance must daily struggle with this fog advancing from all the sides. Absolutely the same metaphor applies to the values of humanism. It's not the same thing, there are two different fogs. To remain an enlightened and humane person, to understand how the world works and at the same time appreciate the life, comfort and safety of each person, daily work need to be done. And first of all, I think it's necessary to deal with the development of humanity in ourselves. Remember, first Martin Eden, then A Brief History of Time. Neither literature nor especially science are required to be humane. It's not impossible to regulate this. Every person can and should be humane. We are able to plant the seed of humanism in ourselves, regularly monitor and care of it. Literature and science can be very good helpers in this, but they can also interfere with this. They can raise an evil, greedy and cruel person. Critical thinking is the tool that helps to use the knowledge and experience of mankind to calibrate our internal compass for orientation in the world of the ever-looming fog of ignorance. We must always remember that the arrow of this compass must always be directed to universal human values, to the axiom of the unconditional value of the life of every person. In conclusion, reading books doesn't make us better and happier. It's a great tool for doing this, but the process isn't automatic. It's the result of deep and almost daily work. Only by setting our compass to the simplest and most basic ideas of humanism, guided by common sense and critical thinking, we can push the fog of ignorance far enough to avoid genocides, war, persecution, infringement of the rights of other people. Thank you for watching to the end. I will be glad if you help spreading this video so that more people can ask themselves a very important question. Does reading books make me a better person? Thanks for watching. See you soon.